My name is Lara, and this is my brother Mike who's doing these videos.
And I am Slag, which stands for Siri-like Assistant for Genealogy. I will be providing online research, probability information, and sarcastic commentary.
Our last names aren't important. In fact, our family names have never mattered much at all. For instance, my grandpa and his three brothers were given the names Carol, Wilson, George, and Horace. So naturally, they were called Ray, Doc, Pete, and Red. And don't even ask about my mother, Dixie. No one even bothered to tell her what her legal name was until after it could have avoided a big bureaucratic snafu at the Hall of Records in downtown LA.
Sorry, nobody born with that name.
Sorry. No birth certificate, no marriage license.
So why do we call this channel A Block South of Normal? Well, at first I thought my family was kind of normal. But then the more stories I told people, the more it became obvious from their reactions that, hey, I come from an odd family. One day at work I was telling some stories and I mentioned that I grew up on a street that was a block east of another street called Normal. And I said, so I guess this means we grew up a block east of Normal. And my boss said, oh no, you grew up a block south of Normal. So what's so abnormal about our family? Here's just a few unusual stories that we'll be telling in future videos.
Oh goody. Time for the coming attractions.
There's a story of Uncle Ray who lived a long, mostly happy life until the ripe old age of 94. With his health finally fading, he said to himself, enough is enough, and decided maybe a final exit with the help of popular household cleaning products. Or how about Grandpa Chuck, who after a nasty divorce from my Grandma Dorothy, managed to pull off a revenge by dachshund from beyond the grave.
Oh man, I gotta stay awake for that story.
And then there's Great-Grandma Bridget, who emigrated from Ireland all by herself when she was just 19.
My great-grandma was a fasten your seatbelt warning on an '87 Toyota.
Fasten your seatbelt. Fasten your seatbelt.
Grandma Bridget worked off the cost of her passage in Boston for a few years. Then she developed early onset arthritis. She hated to climb stairs and hills, so of course she moved to San Francisco.
Huh, ironic. Just like Alanis Morissette said.
My brother Mike, he still won't shut up about how much he hated all the moving our family did when we were kids. And yet, since he left the nest in the 1970s and could have decided for himself whether to move or not, he's moved a total of 27 times. Anyway, that's just a sampling of the last 5 generations, the relatives that were known at least to some of the family members alive today. And then last year, Mom decided to do the old spit-in-the-tube DNA analysis from Ancestry.com. And what were the results?
55% Ireland and Scotland. 45% England, Wales and Northwestern Europe. And 0% surprising.
No doubt about it. The woman is a walking advertisement for the Irish race. So anyway, after that, Mike decided to spring for the full access membership to the databases on Ancestry.com. What has he found so far?
171 direct ancestors. Going back 24 generations. Earliest ancestor, 1365 AD.
Whoa, who was that one?
Hendrik de Jode. Born 1365, died 1404. Lived in South Holland, the Netherlands.
What do you say, Mike? Was it worth it? So, who do we have in this new expanded gallery of ancestors? Let's see. A physician, a reverend, a farmer on Manhattan Island, a soldier who fought in Napoleon's army, immigrated to America, and had 18 children.
Think of all the cousins you must have today. As long as they don't put you in charge of the family reunion.
One thing about ancestors that go back this far, it was before the invention of photography, and most people weren't well off enough to have a painter come in and do their portrait, like kings and queens and other bigwigs. But we did find one ancestor portrait from the mid-1600s. This is Eldert Roosa, Dutch immigrant to Ulster County, New York. He was appointed by Governor Peter Stuyvesant, an alderman. So I guess that made him bigwig enough to have his picture done.
Further research by artificial intelligence, including checking more than one website, has reduced the probability that this is a portrait of Eldert Roosa to approximately 0. The actual artist, Hans Holbein the Younger, does not identify the subject, but it is believed to be Thomas Seymour, fourth husband of the sixth wife of Henry VIII, and also brother of Jane Seymour, not the actress, but the third wife of Henry VIII. Hope you were paying close attention to that, because there is going to be a pop quiz.
Another thing we thought for sure is we'd never find any south of normal stuff in this batch of ancestors. Boy, were we wrong. Exhibit A. It's those wacky Kukendalls, Jacob and Barbara and their kids who lived on the far western side of Virginia during colonial times in the area that became West Virginia. And remember, back then, that was the Wild Wild West. One fateful day, Jacob went missing and was assumed to be captured and killed by Indians. I know this might be hard to believe, but there was an ongoing friction between Indians and white settlers. After a respectful waiting period of a couple of years, Barbara got remarried to a Mr. James Calvin, and they had several more children. Then, on another fateful day, Jacob returned, very much alive and not at all killed by Indians.
Sounds like a cheesy television sitcom from the 1960s.
Here's the saga of a lovely widow who got married once again, but there's a twist. 'Cause the first one wasn't really dead yet. That's why she's the accidental bigamist.
Wise ass. Back in the box. So whatever happened with Jacob, Barbara, and James? Not to mention all the kids. Stay tuned to this channel for the answer. And while we're at it, you can stay tuned to find whether our family is related to Oliver Cromwell, Revolutionary War hero light horse Harry Lee, Teddy and Franklin Roosevelt, Dutch painter Hieronymus Bosch, the great-great-grandfather of Surrealism. Ooh, we just have to be related to him. Coming up, video number 2. He did not drink Drano. Be sure to subscribe.